Alistair was walking. As he was walking down the street, though, something would happen. Someone would tap his shoulder. As he looked behind him, it was an imp. As she said, "Can I have a word with you?" Why would an imp want to speak with me? Suddenly, Lute would reveal her true form and say, "I can't really stay like this for long. Come on." Alistair would sigh and follow Lute. He was surprised not to see Lilith herself, but Lute. As he went in with her, he said, "What's going on?" "Lilith talked to us, and well, we decided to use you as an asset." As Lute would say, "Well, I know that you want to be free from her. Just help us out with the exorcism, and you can be free." Alistair would say, "The exorcism? But Lilith said she didn't want her daughter to be hurt." "Oh, don't worry, she won't. We'll just ensure that they lose. And in exchange, you'll get your little freedom." As in, she would give Alistair a little angelic dagger. "You would do that for us, wouldn't you?" Alistair would then sigh and look down as he'd start to think about things. He wanted to control everything. He wanted to pull the strings. Charlie was the key to that, but he couldn't just give up freedom like this. If he was free, he could go back to his old ways, but he couldn't see Charlie after that. He would have to come up with a new plan entirely. Alistair would say, "Fine, I'm in." As Alistair would have no choice but to help out the exorcist. As the exorcist would put a little radio in his pocket so they can listen in on things. As Alistair would walk into the hotel and begin to be a spy for them. Alistair would sit down and begin to think of this. He didn't care about Charlie, right? Of course he didn't. He didn't care about some dumb hotel. So why did he feel bad about doing this? Why did he feel bad about sabotaging them? I mean, he could get rid of Husk easily and wouldn't care, so why care about them? It doesn't make any sense. Alistair would sit down, lost in thought. As things all passed around him, people talked, people went, but nothing happened to him, as he just thought for hours until Charlie would say, "Alistair, Alistair." Al would say, "Oh, hey, Charlie." Charlie would then look at Alistair and say, "Are you all right? I mean, you seem off. Usually you have a smug look on your face and you're always talking to us about something, or you're just scheming, but you've just been sitting here, staring off into space." Alistair would say, "I have a lot on my mind." Charlie would sit down and say, "Tell me, you can trust me." And for some reason, Alistair felt worse. He shouldn't feel bad, though. He couldn't feel bad. What is these feelings? Alistair would decide just to sleep them off. As the next day, he would get up and get valuable information. As he would overhear Charlie and Becky talking about the exorcist and their game plan. As he would merely sit back and listen, and soak it all in, collecting all the information that he could, as then they left. As Vaggie and Charlie went to heaven for a meeting, Alistair would stay there, as he would get a new mission. As Alistair was in the hotel, eventually someone would knock on the door. As he opened it, it was an imp, but clearly it was an exorcist in disguise. As he walked out with this exorcist, Alistair would say, "What is my mission?" As Alistair would say this, the exorcist would look at Alistair and say, "We want to be able to hide and attack them all from the bottom. Here." As I gave him a crowbar, "Open the sewer drain so we can come out of it. You put special magic on there so no one can sneak attack. Smart, but you need to get rid of it." Alistair would nod as he would go back to the hotel, remove it, and replace it with a newer one. As Alistair would then sigh, he would start to walk around. As Husk would see Alistair and say, "What's the big deal?" Husk would walk up to Alistair and say, "Hey man, you've been different. What's up?" Alistair would then look at him and then sigh, as then he smiled and said, "Well there, Husker, since you're under me." Suddenly, a chain would appear around his neck as he slowly grabbed it towards him. "I have something to tell you," Husk would say. "What's that?" "We're gonna betray the hotel. And afterwards, I'll be free. Then you'll be free. Just another extra thing for you to, well, consider working for me." Betray the hotel? Husk would think he cared about Angel and some of his friends, but then he would smile and say, "Anything for freedom. What do you want me to do?" As Husk would then go back in. Husk really didn't know what to do. However, eventually Vaggie and Charlie would come back, as they would bring them the bad news that an exorcism was coming, that they needed to get prepared. Alistair would listen, as then they both walked upstairs. Alistair would then start to get ready, as he would bring Husk into a room privately and begin to talk. As Alistair and Husk would look at each other and begin to talk, Alistair would say, "I need you to attack Angel." Husk would say, "What? I can't do that without a guest. The hotel will be useless." and serpent. As Husk would go and lay it down that night, and Husk would start to think about things, Husk couldn't really believe it. Husk was gonna have to turn on Angel. He sung a song with him, and he kind of liked the guy. They weren't dating or anything, but they were still close friends. Husk was gonna have to do it. He was gonna have to put down Angel as the battle started. He didn't know if he can do it, but he willed himself to. As the days passed, the battle got closer and closer, and Husk began to drift farther and farther away from Angel. Eventually, Angel would notice and begin to talk to Husk. Angel would go, "Husk, you haven't really been talking to me as much. What's going on? You've been kind of off on your own little world recently." Husk would say, "Alistair has me on business. Secret ones, I can't say." Angel would say, "When will it end?" "After the battle." Angel would say, "Really? Well, you want to hang out after that?" "I like spending time with you, Husk." Angel would say, as Husk would look at Angel. Angel wasn't even flirting with him. Angel wasn't even trying to get him flustered. He was just being honest. It was just saying that he liked spending time with him. Angel grew so much, and Husk was going to end all that growth. He felt guilty inside as Husk would start to talk to Angel and pretend everything was fine. But after that conversation ended, he went into his room and began to cry. Husk could do nothing but bawl his eyes out, as he couldn't believe this. He couldn't believe what he was going to be forced to do. He couldn't believe that he was going to have to take down a dear friend of his. Someone who he lifted up, someone who he improved. And now he's thrown all that away, all his progress, everything he's done. Husk would say, "I'm sorry, Angel." As Husk got up, it was a few days before the battle, when suddenly Alistair would appear behind him. As Alistair would say, "I can sense you're starting to get cold feet. However, Husk, you better remember what happens." Husk would say, I know. Let's get to it." Alistair and Husk would nod as they would wait. Eventually the day would come, and Adam and his army would arrive. Angel and Husk would be fighting side by side, holding off exorcists coming one by one. And as they kept coming more and more, Angel would say, "Wow, Husk, you can really fight." Husk would say, "Yeah, but Angel, yeah?" Suddenly Husk would hug Angel and say, "Stay safe." Angel would say, "Husky, you're so sweet. What did I do to..." Suddenly he would feel a sharp pain in his back as Husk would stab Angel, as Angel would fall down and scream, "Why, Husk, why?" Husk would say, "For freedom. It's nothing personal." As Husk walked off, Angel's screams slowly became quieter and quieter until they faded away into nothingness. Husk couldn't believe he did this. Husk couldn't believe this happened, but he did what he had to do as he walked away from the hotel, now a free man. As then we cut to Sir Pinches. Sir Pinches was about to fire up the machine when suddenly Alistair walked behind him and say, "Hello, old chap." Sir Pinches would look and say, "Alistair, sir, I have a plan." Sir Pinches would then look behind him and say, "Oh, yes, Alistair. Sir, you see, the plan is for me to activate this thing and defeat..." Suddenly, Sir Pinches would feel sharp pain behind him as he fell to the floor, as Alistair would use an angelic weapon, so Sir Pinches would never go to heaven in this timeline. Sir Pinches would look up and say, "Why are you doing this, Al?" "Because I have to, dear." "Sorry. If it's what it's worth, I'll actually remember you for more than just the guy who messed up my clothes." As then Alistair would kick him off the building. As Alistair would walk out of the building, he would meet with Adam, and Adam would say, "You're free to go." As suddenly he felt the contract end, and he felt more freedom than ever as he left the hotel. Without Sir Pinches or Angel, the hotel would be forced to close down, and heaven won the battle, and heaven won the war. It seemed like redemption was truly impossible. And that's going to leave things off. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you to this video in the comments below. Now, this video was a cool idea. Now, I saw a video, or like an idea, what if Blitz was an exorcist? So I thought, what if Alistair was? Maybe that could make him be a spy, and feed them information. After all, Lilith does on this soul. So him being an exorcist isn't too much out of play, if that is, possible. Also, I was kind of bored, so I was looking at, old videos I made to see what kind of, quality I had, and, what the kind of plots I had. And those old Dragon Ball videos are kind of cringe, I'm not gonna lie. I like the guy who made him, he has a good voice. And I do like Dragon Ball, don't get me wrong. Dragon Ball Xenoverse is one of my favorite games of all time. The second one. The first one's alright, but the second one is so good. But yeah. Anyway, I was watching those old videos. I'm like, God, man, these are cringy. I can't believe I made those. you know? It was just me yelling and stuff. Oh my god, man. I used to be such a cringy creator. I mean, don't get me wrong, my content, it can be cringe at times. I'm not gonna lie. But, like, I feel like I've gotten better. Do you feel like I've gotten better at storytelling? Do you feel like myself? Do you feel like my channel has gotten a lot better? Or do you feel like it's gotten worse? Do you feel like it's like in between? By the way, how long have you been subscribed to this channel if you're subscribed? If you're not, please hit that subscribe button. But yeah, if you're subscribed, please tell me how long you've been subscribed to this channel for. Because I'm kind of curious. Have you been subscribed for like a month? You know, have you been subscribed for a week? You know, how are my subscribers standing? I really want to know. So please let me know how long you've been subscribed down in the comments below. Please and thank you. I also want to know what kind of day you're having, because yesterday was Halloween and today is the start of a new month. New month, new me, as the kids say nowadays. As the kids say, the daddy-os, the kids, yeah. I'm cool and hip, if you know what I mean. I don't know what the heck I'm saying. Anyway, if you don't think anyone loves you, you're wrong, because I love you. Peace out. You're the best.